This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Halfway through the season and we have no repeat winners. In fact, there is only one driver who has managed 3 top 5 finishes in the 4 rounds contested, and he's leading the points. Besides him, only 4 more drivers have at least 2 top 5s. Such is the difficulty that the Radical has proven to be for our competitors. Overbay may lead the points, but it teeters perilously close to the cliff of opponents that are ready to surpass him should he have another bad race. Will the pressure get to him, or can he hold out? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Thursday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, Imola is no stranger to high downforce machinery, but from what we've seen so far this season, the number of slow corners here will not be a cakewalk for the Radical.
No, indeed it will not. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Imola. Located in Imola, Italy, this beautiful 4.9 kilometer or 3-mile course, 17 turns, is by far one of the crown jewels here in Italy. That opened up in 1953. Racing has taken place with some of the biggest motor racing events in the world here, such as the San Marino Grand Prix, as well as many sports car racing and endurance events taking place here. To give you the fan to see what it is like to take on the tight twists and turns of Imola, let us go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Schlocker in the GSRC Radical, so let's do a lap around Imola. The front stretch is the longest acceleration zone on this track, so drivers are going to be really eager to get passes done into Tamburello. But the braking into the chicane can be tricky with a little kink in the circuit. Stay off the tall sausage curbs on these 3 apexes, and ideally, you shouldn't need to lift on your way through the third. That leads you on a short stretch up to Villeneuve, which is a bit scary on entry. It's fast in the first half and then slows up in the second half. Don't be surprised to see a few cars run off track here. Then you get a little burst of speed before Tosa. Sometimes drivers can make surprise attacks into this hairpin, so keep your head up. The real tricky part will be getting the power down smoothly on your way out of here. The climb up the hill is pretty steep, so you don't want to make yourself vulnerable by hesitating on the throttle. Piratella is a deceptive left-hander. Finding the apex is hard enough, and you can see clipping the inside curb by turning in too early is also dangerous. Now we head back downhill into the valley of Aqua Minerale. This is perhaps the most difficult braking zone of the entire circuit with the high speed and awkward entry. Exit too wide and be ready to suffer a slowdown penalty for abusing the track limits. Up next is the Alta chicane. Passes may sometimes happen into here, but it's very tight, so I wouldn't advise trying it too wide. Avoid the second curb, get the power down, and now you blast your way towards Ravazza. Despite the decent amount of speed you'll get, usually you have to wait for a mistake from the car ahead to get enough of a run. But the downhill braking on this first apex makes it embarrassingly easy to come in too hot. The second apex is of utmost importance because of it leading back onto the pit straight. Getting a good launch can make a huge difference in your attack or defense. But hopefully, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Imola. There you see a lap around Imola here in the Radical, fast little car, so they are certainly going to get a number of laps in around here. Now, this season here in the American iRacing Thursday Series is brought to you by HFD1 Motorsports. One of the teams that competes here in the Precision Racing League has decided to step up and sponsor this entire season. Make sure that it gets to air and that you get to enjoy all the action. So if you want to give a thank you to anybody, thank HFD1 Motorsports. Their team has been very gracious for helping sponsor and bring us onto the air. Now, let's take a look at the championship. I mentioned how mixed up things have been. 4 different winners in 4 different rounds. And Michael Overbay actually does have a decent lead here, 12 points. It's not huge, but compared to second through fourth, though, look at that. 1 point between second and third, and then it's only another 6 points back to Harmon there in fourth place. File jumps up 1, McLaughlin up 2. Padavani, though, with his win last round at Suzuka, that jumps him up 8 spots. Just one good finish really shuffles up the order for where you are in the driver's standings. Also affects the team's championship. And Taylor, what has that done to that?
Well, with that team's championship still at the top of the leaderboard, it is going to be the BO Racing team of Michael Overbay and Padavani. But right behind them, though, we have the second team, the Fraley Auto Bodies team of File and Luke. They're only 15 points back. But after a tough week for McLaughlin and Wildridge, they lost 2 positions, dropping them back to 3rd position. Banana Split Racing still remains the same with Andrew and Duchesne, 71 points back though, while the team series sponsor, the HFD1 Motorsports of Duval and Huffstetler, they have a little bit of work to do. They lost a position, dropping down to 5th. So that team's championship's looking really tight right now as we're only halfway through the season, Joe.
Well, this will certainly set the tone here with round 5. And speaking of which, let's run through the race details for today's event. The car, of course, is the Radical SR8. Now, the setups are open on these cars, and that can make a difference to the speed that you can get out there. They do have restricted fuel compared to what the real cars can load up. So you can expect at least 1 pit stop in this 45-minute race to stop for fuel. They also have an incident cap, 24 incidents out here today, and those can rack up with the chicanes. The cut course penalty is probably the bigger worry in those. They also have no spare car, so as we like to say, you break it, you bought it. And breaking cars might certainly happen out there considering the curbs, and I imagine those might be one of the keys to the race today. What is the scoop on those, Taylor?
Well, the biggest one, like you said, is going to be those curbs through the chicane. Imola has 3 major chicanes that these drivers are going to be having to face, so they're going to have to take their time and pick and choose. We've seen many drivers lose it and have major mistakes, especially going through Tamburello, the first set of chicanes that these drivers will face here at Imola. Another thing that they will need to do is fuel strategy. Yes, we've seen it time and time again throughout the season, how fuel strategy either helps them either stay in the lead or actually get up to the front of the pack. So we will have to keep an eye on watching the drivers get through their issues and making sure they make the correct timing for their pit stops during this 45-minute race. And then finally, watch out for the start. Time and time again, Joe, we're familiar with seeing incidents happening on lap 1 in the first chicane here at Imola in many of the series we call here. So drivers are going to have to be careful, making sure that they have their eyes open and are focused and alert, especially now that we're halfway through the season and points are going to be a big difference in winning a championship or losing a championship.
I have to agree that consistency and the good results really seems to be playing a part in how it shaped up so far. Now, we mentioned that this is the American iRacing Thursday series, and it's here on the iRacing Esports Network. Well, they also have the Tuesday series on the IESN. You can catch that, of all things, on Tuesday, but the best way to do that is to subscribe here to IESN. There's a big red button that says that. All you got to do is click that. You can catch not only the PRL series that we cover here, but also all the World Championship racing, the official World Championships here on iRacing, brought to you on IESN. So qualifying is happening right now, but before we get to that, one quick message. If you do independent vehicle inspection, there is a lot to keep track of. Whether it's an old school pile of paper documents or a computer full of spreadsheets, it can get overwhelming. We have great news for you. Inspect a Ride is the fastest way to conduct your vehicle inspections and create reports. You can save time, eliminate paper, keep better inspection records, and simplify your life all for your iPhone, iPad, or Android phone or tablet. You can find out more about this useful app at inspectoride.com/iRacing, where you can even download a free trial to find out if Inspector Ride is right for you. So check it out. Once again, that address is inspectoride.com/iRacing. Taking a look at where we sit in the qualifying, Overbay looking like he might set himself up for being the first person to repeat with a win. Duval, who has yet to win amazingly despite his good qualifying efforts most of the season, only sits down in 4th. And then last round's winner, Jefferson Padavani, is all the way down in 5th.
Jefferson's been having a great season. Right now, qualifying so far in the 5th position. We're going to have to keep an eye and see if that momentum that he got from the win at the last round is going to help propel him to maybe keep on moving up through the top of the leaderboard and the point standing. So this could be a good track. He said he does struggle here a little bit at this racetrack, so we'll have to keep an eye on seeing what Padavani does. But of course, Overbay is going to be another driver as well to watch.
Right now, Overbay heading through Aquamina Raleigh sits on a 138.1. He's got about a 10th in some. Oh, and he's certainly not going to set a faster lap there. Blasco is the one that we mentioned, about a 10th and some behind, the number 85, just at the start of his lap, it looks like. As he weaves his way through Tamburello. Let's see who else we've got. Christian Gritzko is one I want to mention, because last round he certainly had some interesting incidents happening to him. He had pretty decent qualifying. He's sitting decent here today at 6. I'm trying to remember exactly what his qualifying was at I think it was 6 as well, actually, in Japan, as he's coming to the end of his lap. But he lost 3 places on the first lap from his own error, and then he had a contact with Harmon, as that was the spinning car of Wildridge we saw, another one of our winners going off there. Gritzko crosses the line, and that time by, it looks like that lap is not going to count for Gritzko. So we go to Overbay, and he's started another lap. But Gritzko, he hit Harmon at one point, and then he had a spin where it sent him backwards into the pit entry, causing severe damage. So you talk about a driver who could use a good race here, Taylor. I think Gritzko is high on the list of looking to redeem himself.
Yes, indeed. That was an unfortunate event that happened to him at Suzuka with Gritsko. I mean, it was quite surprising to see him how he was able to somewhat recover and continue on because by far that was one of the hardest hits of the season that we've seen here on for the Radical series on Thursday nights. I mean, as we go, it's just incredible that he was able to continue on through that race.
All right, riding on board with the Ohio driver. Our points leader comes on to the front stretch. Still a 1:38.1 as he stays tight to that pit wall to try and shorten it. A 1:54.3. So it looks like that was his out lap for him. He'll come back around, and he does have enough time to complete this one. Padavani's just completing his, and it's also an out lap, it looks like. So he'll stay in 5th for now. Hebert, the Mid-South driver, coming around and through Ravazza himself. Currently sits in 21st. He's got a lot of laps in here, but not very many good results in them. As he crosses the line, a 43.1 does not improve. He stays in 21st. He will get one more time around, as long as he doesn't botch it, though.
That's the key for some of these drivers in the back of the field is they cannot have a terrible lap this final seconds dwindling down. And we see now Eric Harmon coming across the line. I don't know if he's going to be able to improve. I don't think so. No, it doesn't look like. Oh, actually he does.
Yeah.
40.27.
Puts him up to 14th position. Let's jump over to Blasco because our second place driver is going to take the line. He's going to be one of the first to take the checkered flag, actually. As he crosses, he does not improve a 38.6, so he will stay no better than second. Who is going to be next to cross? Looks like Overbay, got to be one of our top runners to come out of the final corner. Doesn't need to improve his lap, but he's going to finish it anyways. He comes across the start-finish line, the number 68 car. And it does not improve as well for him. Eric Luke sitting in 9th, decides to give up on it. Padavani going to be to the next one. He sits in 5th place. A 38.5 jumps him up the 3rd, second row for the number 23. That is a nice last effort. Pretty similar to what he did last round, where he was the last one across the line and he took the pole away.
That was a great jump up, as also I think David Hebert now is coming out of Ravazza again. Let's see if he can improve this lap now. He's currently sitting in the 21st position with a 1:43.11 as he comes down the front straightaway. Let's see what he's able to do. Needs to pick up a little time. I think he might. Yes, he does improve, I think.
Yeah, 42.7. But he stays in 21st, unfortunately. I think Phil Gilman going to be the last driver to cross the line. The question is, did he get to start that one? Because he doesn't have a lap time in. And it looks like as he crosses it, he is going to get a time, but... Oh, no, he's not. He had an off track. So the number 96 will start at the very back of the field. And that is going to complete qualifying here today. So let's go through our starting grid. Michael Overbay has put it on the pole again. He has a couple bad starts these last 2 rounds, though. Let's see what he can do here today. Alberto Blasco starts in a second next to him. Jefferson Padavani, last round's winner, will be starting P3. Mark File will be 4th with P5 going to Kenny Duval. Christian Gritsko will start in 6th, same place he started last round. Matthew Gunderson will be 7th. Owen McLaughlin is in 8th with Eric Luke starting P9. Charles Huffstetler rounds out our top 10 today.
Bradley Hawley will start in the 11th position. Alongside him will be Paul Wildridge in the 12th position. Kip Stevens will start in the 13th position. Alongside him will be Eric Harmon. John LaBath will start in 15th position beside Tyler Gore in 16th, followed by Christopher Richards in 17th. Esteverson Oliveira will start in 18th position alongside Daniel Barnett in 19th, and rounding out your top 20, Richard Pittenger.
David Hebert will be 21st, followed by Gary Schilling. Then it's Ronald McManus starting in 23rd. Andrew Spicer, not the best qualifying for him. In fact, the last driver with a time in 24th. Curlin Andrew starts 26th. Luis Morga 27th. And Phil Gilman 25th there. Last three drivers did not get a lap time in. As we wait for the rest of the field to get out here and get to the grid, we will get the green flag once that is done here in round 5 of the American iRacing Thursday series. Watch out for Tamburello. It is known for causing chaos. Whenever you have a chicane for the first corner, it can wreak havoc on the field if not everybody is careful. And it's got that curved braking zone. As we look at this beautiful row of British cars here in Italy, all lined up on the front stretch of this historic course located in a park. The engines start to rev. The lights are up. Green flag is out. Overbay gets a much better start this time. Jefferson Padovani immediately moves into second, and it's Alberto Blasco in second place. He has a horrible start. He slips back to third and manages to stop the bleeding by the time they break for Tamburello. Watching the rest of the field try to work their way through. I'm not seeing any major incidents. A little bit of cars having to slow up quite a bit, but otherwise that looked clean.
That's by far one of the cleanest starts I've ever seen going into Tamburello here at Imola. As they make the run down to the Villeneuve chicanes and up to Tosa, it is still going to be Michael Overbay holding on over Jefferson Padovani in the second position.
Mark File holds on to that fourth spot. Kenny Duval giving chase as they come up the hill to Piratella for the first time. Gunderson under threat, very closely behind. That's Christian Dritzko, who did drop down one spot on the start. He's down in 7th now. They hit Aqua Minerale for the first time. This is a bit tricky on this car. They're having trouble trying to break into this double right-hander, but so far everybody seems to be handling it fine here for the first time.
Yes, indeed. Aqua Minerale is very difficult. You could easily get a off-course penalty, so drivers have to be careful with that section of the course as they're now making their way through the final chicane towards the run towards Ravazza. I mean, Michael Overbay and Jefferson Padovani are starting to pull away a little bit from Blasco. About 7/10 now separate him from Blasco at the moment between Padovani.
Oh, big wiggle coming out of Ravazza for Jefferson Padovani. That cost him a little bit of time up to Overbay. But the teammates are going to stay where they are in order. Padovani doesn't lose out to Blasco as they come down the front stretch. First lap is complete. You're going to see any overtakes up to Tamburello. This is the only long stretch that you have on this track. I see a little bit of side-by-side action between McLaughlin and Hawley. This is for 9th place, and McLaughlin is going to come out on top of those two.
Yeah, it's got an incident.
That was Huffstetler. Manages to keep the car from spinning back into the racing line. That was a hard hit. Looks like just a little bit wide coming out of Tamburello. We'll see on the replay here, Taylor.
As he's coming down into Tamburello, we see the car gets, I think he might have clipped that curb a little bit too much. Coming off corner exit. And then into the barrier he goes. That's a hard hit. I mean, you see the car get a little airtime as well, but thankfully does not get any contact with any of the cars. As we go back up to the front with our leaders, it is still going to be Michael Overbay leading over Jefferson Padovani by about 7/10 of a second right now. I mean, Overbay is doing exactly what he needs right now. Same thing with Padovani. I mean, running up towards the front, staying well to help keep the team's championship and the driver's championship working in their favor here tonight, Joe.
Don't need to go to the replay, but the number 16, David Hebert, had a spin coming out of Piratella. He gets it going once again behind the likes of Huffstetler. As we go to 11th. Oh, actually, we might want to go to Kenny Duval because he just had another incident. I'm trying to think if he's had any race where he hasn't had a spin or a major hit. He's going to take it immediately into the pits. This is way too early for a scheduled stop. Coming out of Ravazza, we're on board the Georgia driver through the second apex. We just gunned it too hard.
Ravazza is a very difficult corner. You could easily lose the car on corner exit through there, especially the second half of the Ravazza. I mean, it's amazing that Kenny Duvall was able to even hold on to the car as well as he did, even though he made contact with the wall, but not sending it back out onto the racing line.
Wow, look at the pressure that Padavani is starting to apply to Michael Overbay. Despite a wiggle coming to the end of the first lap, he's recovered nicely. Number 23 has closed up behind him. But this track, also known for not offering much in the way of chances to pass. Do you think Padavani's going to be clogged up behind him for very long here, Taylor? Do you think he'll be able to sneak through? Because last race, it seemed like Padavani had the measure of Michael.
I think if Padavani is able to pick and choose that right time, and if Overbay makes that small mistake, I think Padavani could easily make that pass on Overbay. But we'll have to wait and see. These are two teammates. I know there probably isn't any major team orders between the two, but they are going to race each other hard, but pretty sure they're going to race each other very cleanly throughout the duration of this race.
And Padavani is not out of the points fight, we should point out, even though he is a teammate here to the number 68. He is now within the top 5, so he's got something to fight for. As they come down to Tamburello, he's not close enough for a pass this time, so he stays in line. Going down to 10th place, though. Look at this string of cars. Hawley leads LeBaff, leads Wildridge. Wildridge takes a peek down into the first chicane, but nothing doing there. And look at the cars behind them as well. That's Harmon, Gore, and Richards, all in a row of cars. And if one of them makes a mistake, it is going to be a heap of points lost.
Oh, there it is right there.
Oh, no. Commentators curse. John LeBaff gets plowed into by Tyler Gore through Villeneuve.
The curbs take another victim here at Imola. As John LeBaff looked like he clipped the curves going into the Villeneuve chicanes. I think that yellow turtle curve right there that we see when it goes into Villeneuve is going to be the main consequences of him hitting that curve. It's just going to send him around, and it's going to even, I think, take his teammate Tyler Gore with him a little bit as he makes a little contact. So
It looked like LeBaff touched it, but we'll watch from Gore's point of view here. Car definitely snapped, though. And look at that, just couldn't get it slowed up. And the Canadian, of course, as he tries to pick a side, unfortunately winds up picking the wrong one. Gore's still in 13th. He's now behind Harmon. Wildridge has a clear bit of track ahead of him. That's only because Bradley Hawley now has a gap due to that incident.
We don't have to go.
Ooh, got a battle for 5th. This is Gunderson and Gritzko. Gritzko hard onto the back of him, but can't quite do anything with it. Christian has moved his way back up to 6th since we last looked. I think that was due to the spin from Duvall earlier on. He's also got a threat from behind. Eric Luke is not giving a whole lot of space between himself and the number 28.
No, Eric Luke is watching all over the back bumper of Christian Gritzko now as they go into Tosa. We see Luke trying to hug that line as best he can, but then off corner exit has a little bit of an issue trying to get back out onto the track. Doing a great job of trying to stay up with this group of cars.
Down through Piratella, back into the valley of Aqua Minerale. This has been some good fighting so far that we've seen, but also quite a few mistakes. Gunderson having Gritzko close up tightly behind him out of that double right-hander, and a little bit of a peek to the inside from Eric Luke as they hit the Alta chicane. They all try to get the cars woed up. Everybody slows down in time, and nobody with a cut course penalty. So we ride on board with Luke now, the tail of the train down towards Ravazza, Taylor.
Yes, indeed. He's really going to try to make sure he gets the right braking point as he gets hard onto the brakes into Ravazza, gets closing into the back bumper of Christian Gritzko. Ooh. There he is right there. Oh, this is going to be hairy.
Gritzko spins out of Ravazza. He barely avoids him. Luke gets around, but Gritzko with another half spin finds himself tumbling down the order. Let's watch the onboard. Looks okay here with the Canadian. Oh, it started to snap even before, like right as he turned in, it looked like, Taylor.
Yes, it did. It seems like almost he didn't have the right steering input put into the car. And then that car just snapped completely around before, like you said, right before he even got into the second part of Ravazza. So, but fortunately, no damage to the car. He's still out there, but had dropped back to the 12th position, though, racing with Eric Harmon.
Right on board with Briscoe. We might want to jump back up to P1 because Overbay continues to have to deal with Jefferson Padavani right on top of him. He's not close enough for Alta to present an opportunity this time, it looks like. 35 minutes to go. We're 10 minutes into the race. And it's looking to me, Taylor, like once again, I think Jefferson is the faster of these two, but unfortunately, I think he should have out-qualified Overbay at this point because Michael has been steady as she goes.
Yeah, Michael's being consistent, running his pace, and Padavani is just really trying to put the pressure on Michael Overbay as they're now coming out of Ravazza down the front straightaway. Let's see if Padavani might try to utilize the slipstream to maybe sneak by before they hit Tamburello, as they were still on board with him, watching and waiting to see what he decides to do. He's going to take a peek maybe to the inside. Nope, going to think twice about it and just follow suit with Michael Overbay. I don't see him maybe putting a whole lot of pressure. They are pulling away from Alberto Blasco. About 4 seconds now separate these two from Blasco.
I think there was a big incident with Bradley Hawley. Yes, there was indeed. I think... Oh, Bradley Hawley got a slowdown in Aquaman Raleigh, which kicked off things. And he must have gotten shook by that because up towards Ravazza, he spun himself out. He lost even more spots. Let's see, he's all the way down to 14th now. Before, I believe he was in 9th. Looks like they're lapping the car of... oh, no, that was 4th position. That was Tyler Gore going wide at Tosa.
Yeah, he's now at the back end of that train of cars that's battling for the 10th position right now. So he is really trying to catch back up to this group of cars after losing it. Tyler Gore, though, going wide out of Tosa. That's not what he needed to have happen, as he's now trying to get to the back bumper of Bradley Hawley now as they're coming out of Aqua Minerale and down towards the Alta chicanes.
Richards is at the front of this group. You can see he's being very closely followed by Eric Harmon. Eric has climbed up a couple positions as we go on board. He started this race in 14th. He's now in 12th. He's looking to get 11th back, and right behind him, another spin from Bradley Hawley in the exact same corner and almost the exact same fashion as the first spin.
He's getting a little bit of airtime right there as well when he's trying to get back out onto the track. The Texan Club driver having more issues now. He's got to now deal with Esteverson Oliveira right behind him as he's trying to close in as they're going down the front straightaway towards Tamburello.
Both of those were at the first apex of Ravazza. Does that corner present a particular challenge in this car as we check out the battle for fifth?
Most definitely it does, especially on corner entry. If you do not hit your correct braking points on that track, you will easily send that car spinning around. It was quite unfortunate that we saw earlier where they were spinning coming into the second half, but going in and corner entry, yes, this is very easy to lose the car through there, in any car.
Right on board with Eric Luke, currently sitting in 5th. This is Gunderson behind him, giving chase. Gunderson has gained the most of the top 5 here, it looks like. Started 7th, currently in 5th. The top 4 in qualifying are still filling the top 4 positions here in the race at this point. We're getting towards the pit window, it looks like, Taylor. We've got 31 minutes left to go. We'll see anybody try to duck in.
Have to keep an eye on that. So far, none of our top runners are, as we look at the battle for P9. This is between Christian Gritschko and Paul Wildridge. They're now coming out of Ravazza right now. Let's see what Paul Wildridge is able to do. Already a winner this season, winning at Road Atlanta. Gritschko looking for a little bit of redemption after a not-so-good run at Suzuka. Coming down the front straightaway, Wildridge, you can get a little bit of a slipstream to the car if you're close enough and set up for a pass into Tamburello, but right now he is not close enough to make any passes onto Gritsko through Tamburello. It's nice and smooth through both drivers are making it through coming off as they make the run to the Villeneuve chicanes.
Yes, Wildridge and his win obviously was a very feel-good moment, but hasn't been able to really follow up on it. Oh, an 11th changing hands. This is Richards and Harmon gets it done as Richards goes off at Villeneuve. Let's take a look at the replay of that pass. I think this was set up coming out of Tamburello, and Harmon with a beautiful run. Look at this bravery here, Taylor. Not often you see passes into this first apex.
No, that is quite a brave pass he was able to do, hard onto the brakes. I mean, he was very brave for what Eric Harmon was able to do to try to get by Christopher Richards. I mean, that was an impressive pass right there.
And that's exactly what he needed, because look at the gap now that we come back live. Harmon already a second ahead of Christopher with that off that he had. Up ahead of them, I think, well, no, there wasn't a change for position. I thought maybe Wildridge was catching up to Gritsko. Looks like that is not the case. So his string of 3 is still Harmon 11th, Richards now 12th, and Gore 13th as they come to complete another lap. Following Luke and Gunderson earlier, but that is switched around. Now it's Luke on the attack for 4th place File, the 777, up ahead of him. Coming towards Tosa. The first hairpin on the circuit sometimes offers a chance to pass, but not this lap around. Difficulty the drivers find in getting the power down. Both of them smooth onto it as they continue to climb up the hill. And File dealing with it nicely.
Mark File having a real good run here tonight at Imola. It's great to see the 777 driver working his way up to the field. He's about 3.5 seconds back from Blasco, but having an excellent battle with Eric Luke as they come out of Aqua Minerale. You got to be so careful not to go over that curbing too much to get that time penalty. And not too far behind them, Matthew Gunderson is looking on, about 1.2 seconds back. If these two make a mistake going into Alta or coming down Rizvatsa, we could see Gunderson maybe sneak his way into the top 5.
Yeah, he was looking on Eric Luke not too long ago. Surprised to see him falling off so quickly. They come out of Rizvatsa. This is where you want to get the best launch possible, but none of them really finding an advantage over the other for now. Still no takers, I think, for a scheduled stop. Unless, did Richie Pittenger have one? No, this was a long time ago for him. He's been out for 9 laps, so I don't think that was scheduled for the 5:05. We've had 5 actually DNFs already. John LaBaff, Kenny Duval, Charles Hufstetler, Luis Morga, and Curlin Andrew are all out of the race of our 27 starters.
That battle for P11 is heating up right now between Harmon as well as Christopher Richards. These two have been going at it still as they're making their way through the Villeneuve chicanes. Tyler Gore's not too far either. Actually, that's Tamburello, apologies. So as they're coming down out of there, making the run to Villeneuve chicanes, we still see Christopher Richards trying to find a way to close that gap back up to Eric Harmon. Let's see if he's going to try to be as brave as Harmon was when they're going through the Villeneuve chicanes.
Well, credit to Christopher Richards. I wrote him off a little bit after Harmon managed to get past, but the 49 is now solidly challenging the 617, making sure and keeping him on his toes. Wow, it looks like Harmon way wide at Piratella allows Richards to close in even more, but very little in the way of passing opportunities down here into Aqua Minerale. Climb out of there once again up towards Alta. Just a little bit of a stalemate for now between these two.
Give it time. Just one small mistake, and we could see Christopher Richards back up.
But up to the lead. Oh, Padavani had a run, but I think the lap traffic scared him out of it. Richie Pittenger, who just let them by, was to the inside, and Jefferson, who had a head of steam, lifted before they got to the braking zone of Tamburello, but he is now very much on top of Michael Overbay. Both of these drivers have won so far this season. We've had no repeat winners if you're just joining us, so it is looking likely that we might have, for the first time this season, a driver take 2 wins.
That's something to think about. We have the other series on Tuesday night where we have the driver who's won every single round. And here in the Thursday night series, we've had a driver who's not won back-to-back or a second race this entire season.
Polar opposites, the 2 series, but both put on great shows. Out of Aqua Minerale one more time. Credit to Michael Overbay. He has been dealing with this wonderfully. Oh, Eric Harmon loses 2 spots in 1 corner, essentially. Tyler Gore and Christopher Richards both get by, but how did this unfold? Let's look at the replay here. They're into Villeneuve. Oh, looks like he just ran wide on the exit there, and through both of them went.
Yeah, it's very easy to get very wide through Villeneuve chicanes. Even if that once you go into that green turf right there, the car just wants to suck you into the grass and into the gravel trap. So you have to make sure you don't go over too much on that tarmac and try to get back onto the asphalt as quickly as you can.
Lead still very, very close, and once again, Padavani finds himself not able to make a move down into the Tamburello chicane. Now, this time he did take a peek, though. He looked to the inside, but decided he wasn't close enough to really make that aggressive a move. He's still got 24 minutes left to go. Look at him out of Tosa, though. Ooh, maybe a little too much speed off the corner there, Taylor?
Just a little bit. He's going to try to give it all his best, though, as they make the run up to Piratella. He is closing in, trying to find a way to get by him. It might be a matter of pit stop strategy that we see Padavani, as he maybe takes a peek, though, Aqua Minerale. Not close enough right now, so he's going to try to just be patient now as they make the run to the Alta chicanes as he peeks out to the outside.
Bradley Hawley has even more problems. Sorry to interrupt. This time it involved another car. It was, instead of Ravazza into Tamburello, Esteverson Oliveira finds himself clattering into Hawley. We've got the replay. Number 184. Right on board with the Texas driver here. Once again, under braking, this car just snaps out of it. And then unfortunately, as he tries to get back to the racing line, you can see the 37 thought he could sneak through, but it looks like that door closed a little late. Boy, I feel like Bradley Hawley is definitely going to have to take a look at his brake bias after this race is over, because it's not been fun in the braking zones.
No, it has not for Bradley. I tell you what, I was just watched a little bit of Overbay and Padavani. Going into Tamburello, we saw Overbay getting a little bit of defensive, taking that lower line away from Padavani as they're now coming out of Tosa. That gives the opportunity to make a little bit of a gap over Padavani now. Overbay still trying to his best to pull away, but these two have not left each other's sight the entire race, Joe, and it just keeps getting better and better. I can't wait to see what happens after the pit stops are completed.
Yep, looks like a little bit of safety for Overbay once again as he extends that gap to about half a second. Esteverson Oliveira, after that incident, has elected to come in. Whoa! What happened to Padavani back there in the background? I look away for 1 second. Let's watch the replay. Oh, I talked in the a little bit about how these cars do not like exiting the slow corners. Taylor, this looks like it bit the Brazilian.
It sure did. It looks like they're coming up out of Aqua Minerale. The car just snaps completely around and bounces around almost into the barriers, if not made contact with that barrier right there, and has to get it turned back around.
Yeah, that onboard really showed how much the car bounced. And he immediately elects to come into the pits. He had lost multiple positions. It promotes Blasco up to second and File to third. In fact, I think Eric Luke may have even gotten by him. As I mentioned a little bit ago, Esteverson, who had come in, there you see him taking long repairs due to that damage. Padovani hits his stall. Now, how long is this going to cost Padovani, though? It's going to take a lot of repairs. He did hit the wall. No repairs. 12 seconds, he's in and out.
Quite impressive for Padovani. Let's see if he's able to make a recovery now and see if Michael Overbay responds. Even though that Padovani spun, this means he has fuel. He does not have to stop again. So Overbay might need to consider when is he going to come down pit road.
Yeah, especially with how it seems like Padovani has been the quicker of the two. He's been riding so close behind him. And right now, Overbay is actually dealing with lap traffic. It's David Hebert that he's trying to get by right now. He's been ahead of him for a couple corners. Finally, he gets by the yellow and red machine. And I'm kind of with you. I think now would be the time for Overbay to pit because if he waits too long, it could be enough of a recovery drive for Jefferson to try and jump him back. But he elects not to.
No, not at all. Let's see if Alberto Blasco or Mark Feil or Eric Luke decide to come down pit road. They're making their way down towards, and they do not decide to come down pit road. So we may see these drivers maybe come down with 15 minutes or under possibly for some of these drivers to determine. But I don't know if that's a good call that we see for Overbay because this could give enough time for Padovani to work his way up through the field because he is by far one of the, if not the fastest driver on the track right now.
I think we have another couple scheduled stops coming in. Paul Wildridge and Richie Pittenger have hit the pit lane. Pittenger is a lap down, so this is not for position. Wildridge pitted from, I believe, 8th or 9th. He hits his stall. Eric Harmon comes in behind him. In fact, we got a number of drivers now coming in. It looks like Tyler Gore also trundles down the pit lane. Wildridge is in and out. So
that 15-second stop for him.
A little bit longer than what we saw from Padovani. Jefferson, the fastest stop so far that I'm seeing, and the highest pitter. Nice duo for him. But looks like he's struggling a little bit with traffic himself. He just had to overtake Bradley Hawley, and that was for position. They were on board with Tyler Gore just exiting the pit lane now. Here's on board Hawley. That's Padovani already ahead of him. Managed to sneak by. Eric Luke's getting close to Mark Feil. This is for 3rd place. He's got a good run heading down the pit straight. Up towards Tamburello. Just decides he's not close enough in the dying stages of the straightaway.
No, but he definitely showed his nose right there through before they made the run to Tamburello. Let's see what he can do. He's not close enough to maybe show his nose into Villeneuve, but he is right there in case Mark Feil does make a mistake right now. And then not too far behind, Kip Stevens. He's in 5th place. He's moved his way up through the field and working his way up. Currently has his eyes set on those 2 drivers. And then as you see in the picture ahead, there is Blasco.
Yeah, I think Blasco's quite a ways ahead. Andrew Spicer, the next one to hit pit lane. Continue to watch this battle between the likes of Luke and Feil. Luke taking little peeks here and there up towards Alta, but stays in line. Now down to 16 minutes to go. Still waiting for a number of drivers to come on in. Be a spun car trying to get back on the track that you'll see off to the side. That's Barnett. He's a lap down, so that's not for position, but they get by him safely.
Still nobody coming down pit road yet. I mean, that's quite impressive. Nobody's coming down yet, but if you look at the battle for P7 now, it's starting to heat up between Christian Gritzko, as Gunderson decides to now decide to wave the white flag and come down pit road. So that battle has now gone away at the moment. So Matthew Gunderson, one of the first runners inside the top 10 now, as Padavani is now inside the top 10 after falling outside of it towards top 15 early on when he came down pit road.
Indeed, we're right on board with the Canadian of Gunderson. He hits his pit stall. Should easily be jumped by Jefferson, who's already coming past the start-finish line. Meanwhile, this is our leader still. Overbay put it on pole. He got it off the line right this time. Remember, one of his podiums he took when he had a stop-and-go penalty as a car spins in front of him. That was Gary Schilling staying out of the way, thankfully. But a jump start for Overbay cost him that race, but he certainly recovered. Carolina driver Gary Schilling gets it going. Let's take a look and see what caused this one for the green and white car.
Just looks like he might have overbraked it into Alta and then just looped it right around. We've seen many cars lose it through that section, but thankfully there was an area where he could go away, get off track, get it turned back around, and not have any incidents with any of the front runners.
And our leader's pitted. Overbay is in. Mark Feil follows him. Eric Luke does as well. A number of drivers from the top order have hit pit lane, so the dominoes are starting to fall.
This is the time for Jefferson Padavani to try and make up as much time as possible, as Michael Overbay is now pulling off pit road. Let's see where he's going to put at as Padavani closing in as best he can. Overbay is still fifth. Padavani is just now coming out of Ravazza. I don't think he's going to be close enough to catch up at the moment. As we see, there's Michael Overbay coming down towards Tamburello. Yeah, this looks like he's not going to be able to catch up right now. He's going to need a little bit of help, Padavani, to get back up to the back bumper of Michael Overbay.
So Overbay has less reason to fret now that he's got his pit stop done. And it looks like there's nobody between Overbay and Padavani. Jefferson managed to get out ahead of Feil. It was about 6.5 seconds. I do believe that Jefferson was running a little bit faster during those laps before Overbay pitted. Let me double check that as we take a look at third place now. This is McLaughlin and Gritzko. Both these drivers have yet to pit despite this being a battle for the podium.
Yeah, surprisingly, they have not decided to come down, but they're not giving up on their battle at all. McLaughlin trying to hold off Gritzko as they go through Ravazza again. It looks like they have a little bit of a gap now, as now our current leader, Blasco, is going to come down pit road and complete his pit stop. Same thing, looks like, with Owen McLaughlin.
Yep, the number 5 hits this pit speed limiter and comes down to his stall. Blasco is in. And let's see, who would Blasco be battling with? Probably not Overbay. I think Padavani is the one that he needs to worry about. He's done, and you've got to wait a long time before you hit the cones where you can take that pit speed limiter off. And with Padavani having a head of steam, he's going to be clear by, and Padavani, I believe now, will be promoted back into second once the pit stops are done.
Yes, indeed. By the looks of it, that's what it's going to be. So it's going to be back to our original top 3 that we had before the pit stops. Unless Overbay catches up to the back bumper of Christopher Richards. He's only 1.1 seconds, now 1.2 seconds from the back bumper of Christopher Richards. So he could close in on that even before Richards makes his pit stop.
Meanwhile, look at this. Now that Blasco's come back out, he is in the thick of it. The 777 of Mark Feil all over the back of him. Didn't work in Tosa. He regroups and tries again later in the lap as they now head towards Aqua Minerale.
Blasco doing a great job of holding off Mark Feil as they come out of Aqua Minerale and make a run up to the Alta chicanes. Nice move. No one's going off course through there, but it looks like Feil's going to utilize a little bit of slipstream to close in. Let's see if he's going to make a pass going into Alta. I don't think he's going to be close enough at the moment now. He's going to have to back off and try again when they make the run to Ravazza. I tell you what, there's some great battling between these two right now.
Oof, almost feels like he could reach out and touch the car of Blasco. But in the braking of Ravazza, he decides to stay out of it, maybe setting himself up for a run here. And I think he is. Look at that. He is tucked up right behind the number 85. This is one of the closest we've seen anybody down this front stretch. He ducks to the inside. Blasco does not fight it. He lets him through. But can he get it done under braking? He's going to be slightly offline. Did they hit there? They came awful close. File manages to get through, car squirming under the power, and he stays ahead of Blasco.
What a power move right there by Mark File to keep his line as best he can and make that pass on Blasco. Very good job for Mark File as he's now starting to pull away through the Villeneuve chicane, say go, and up to the run towards Tosa.
Can we get a replay? Because I'm pretty certain they did, in fact, touch on their way down. And this was under braking. Let's see if we can watch this one and get a good view of them coming together. Just as the track kinks. Oh, the wall was in the way right when we wanted to see it. And look, I'm shocked that Blasco was not able to get him back. With that car just wiggling around under power. Here we go from on board the Pennsylvania driver. Oh, definite contact. Wow. Credit to both of them. As we come back live, I think we missed a couple of pit stops while that was happening. Trying to look who just came in. Gritzko came in. So the last one we're waiting on is good old Kip Stevens for him to come and pit. This is Gritzko that we're looking at right now, who returns in 7th place. Actually, we might have an overtake on our hands. That's Luke. That's for position up ahead of him. Down into the braking of Tamburello. He decides not to, though.
Go trying the best that he can, though, to apply that pressure. Looks like Luke went a little bit over the curbing, a little bit almost lost the car as they make the run down towards the Villeneuve chicanes. Gritzko gets laid onto the brakes. He's going to take his nose right through there, coming out of the second half of Villeneuve up to Tosa. Luke is able to hold him off right now. A little bit of a wider entry for Gritzko compared to Luke, who tried to hug the bottom as best he can as they make the run up to the Piratella.
Wow, and look at Luke try to break the draft here, weaving all the way across the track. Lining himself up here for the 90-degree left-hander, but still not able to drop Christian Gritzko. I have to say that even though it's not error-free, Christian has been running a much better race this time, although he comes in way too hot there into Aqua Minerale and loses all the time that he had gained on the number 09.
I think he didn't get a speeding penalty through there. Otherwise, he would have lost more time on Eric Luke as they make the run out of the Alta chicanes and towards the Ravazza. I think Luke now can have a little bit of a breathing room now as we now come up, and finally Kip Stevens has decided to come down pit road. And this will give the lead back over to Michael Overbay. And let's see if Padavani can now try to close that gap now.
There you see the UKNI driver coming out actually already. He's finished his stop. Now, after all is said and done, Overbay is 5 seconds ahead of Padavani. Padavani's closed the gap somewhat, but I'm thinking he's running out of time. As much as it seemed like he was faster than Overbay, it looked like that one mistake coming out of Alta really made the difference. Excuse me, coming out of Aqua Minerale. Because without that, I feel like Jefferson would have been a lot closer and able to attack. But right now, that just, Taylor, to me, it doesn't look likely.
No, it doesn't. It would have to be a mistake from Overbay in order for Padavani to close that gap back up. But I think now, I don't think he cut the course now, but it almost looks like Jefferson Padavani cut the course again through Aqua Minerale. But still far, he's still going at race pace at the moment.
I tell you what, we've been sleeping on Kip Stevens because he's come back out in 5th ahead of Eric Luke. What a wonderful job by Kip. He started this race in 13th, so he's climbed a long ways up just by staying out. The Swift Cooper car finds itself looking at a potential top 5, but he's going to have to work really hard to hold back the likes of Luke.
Yes, indeed, because Luke is coming at him like with a head of steam. Out of Ravazza they go. Looks like Kip is able to pull a several car length gap over Eric Luke as they come down the front straightaway again and make the run down to Tamburello. Seems like he's going to try and break the draft away from Eric Luke, but Eric Luke is closing down onto Kip Stevens. Up to Tamburello they go. He is right there. Hard onto the brakes they go. Nice smooth transitions, hitting the curbs like they needed to in order to make it through perfectly. Up to Villeneuve now. It is still going to be Kip Stevens holding off Eric Luke, the Florida native. Now through they go. He's closing really well through the chicanes, better compared to Kip Stevens.
Maybe a little bit better on the brakes as we switch over to 8th place because it's getting awful close between Gutterson and McLaughlin. And McLaughlin swings wide and lets him have it as... Oh, that was Gritzko! That was Gritzko off track! Oh, and he was all by himself. Out of the hairpin of Tosa. Wheel spin, bites another driver.
Same thing like what happened to him in Ravazza. The car just completely goes around and snaps loose on him. Unfortunately, but still no major issues for him. He was able to get back out on track, but did lose 2 positions in that process now, as he's now coming back on the track and now coming out of Aqua Minerale.
Gritzko's been going to the Duval School of Racing, unfortunately, as good results are being thrown away race after race. Speaking of Kenny, he actually did get back out there. I spoke too soon when I said he was a DNF. He's many, many laps down, but I think he's just trying to salvage whatever points he can.
P5 is looking good right now. Eric Luke gets a great run out of Ravazza and makes the pass on Kip Stevens. Great pass for Eric Luke right now as he's able to pull the gap over Kip Stevens as they go into Tamburello.
The UK&I driver couldn't hold it forever. Let's look at the replay here. Maybe just a bad exit coming out of Ravazza?
That's what it looked like. It was like Eric Luke shot out of a cannon pretty much coming out of Ravazza. There he goes, closing. There he goes, passes on the outside and gone. Eric Luke moved him up to P5.
And we come back live. He's pulled a tiny gap over the 15, but not significant. It's only 3 minutes left, though, and with how tough it is to pass here, I think that might be the place that Stevens has to settle for. Looking at 7th place, which is Gunderson and McLaughlin. Remember, they got bumped up one because of Gritzko. Gunderson got past McLaughlin wide at Tosa. Number 5 still holding onto the tail of the 33.
Really doing a great job. He gets late on the breaker compared to Gunderson into Alta. That's going to help close that gap a little bit. But Gunderson gets a great exit off of Alta. And now as they make the run to Ravazza, let's see who's going to be, how hard and how late they're going to be in the braking zone. As we see 3, 2, 1, down into the brake zone they go. You want to try to brake in between that 100 and that 50 marker. You don't want to try to brake too late. Otherwise, you will snap that car run as we've seen earlier in the race today.
Let's stay with this fight, but just a heads up, Padavani's closed it down to 3.2 on Overbay. But I'm curious to know how much of that is Padavani being faster than him on raw pace and how much of it is Overbay potentially backing off slightly. Wow, look at how close that McLaughlin gets under braking down into Tamburello on Gunderson, but oh, he's weak off the corner. A horrible exit means the number 5 loses any opportunity he would have seen.
Yeah, he has to. If he wants to have a shot to get that position from Gunderson, he's got to do it now because there's not much time left on the clock. I would suspect at least 1, 2, maybe 3 laps to go before we see the checkered flag. So, McLaughlin, not a lot of opportunities left for you to pass, so you need to make it now if you want that position.
White flag going to be coming out next time Overbay crosses the line, which is very soon because he's already into Ravazza. Now, he does have a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. Esteverson Oliveira and Andrew Spicer are directly ahead. And Padovani has now got him in his sights. You can see they're in the same camera shot. That is how much he has gained on him.
What a comeback from spinning out and going to be one of the first front runners to pit to now closing into the back bumper of Overbay. It's going to take a lot for Padovani to close up to Overbay, but he has made an excellent drive to get this close at least back to Overbay.
So Overbay will likely catch this traffic before this lap is over. And speaking of which, we only have 15 cars left on the lead lap. Rather similar to last round, where in Japan we only saw 12 of our starters still on the same lap as the leader. Up towards Piratella. Half a lap to go now for Michael Overbay. It's been a while since his win. Number 68 takes it through Aqua Minerale. Nice and steady. It's down to 2.2 seconds between himself and the number 23. He's closing in on the back of Esteverson Oliveira. I think he might, though, get away with not having to lap these two cars. Down to 2.1 between first and second place. All he has to do is press the power smoothly coming out of Ravazza. Michael Overbay. It took 5 rounds before we got a repeat winner, but the number 68 is going to be the first to do it. Overbay takes the victory here at Imola. Padovani going to follow him home by less than 2 seconds in second place. File rounds out the podium, but just barely. Blasco giving chase down the line.
Battle for P5 between Kip Stevens and Eric Luke is still heating up, but I think Eric Luke is going to be able to hold off Kip Stevens now, as he looks like he's slowing down a little bit.
Out of gas, maybe?
Possibly. It looks like he still crosses the line, but he is by far slowing down than when he should be going at the moment, as Gunderson and McLaughlin now cross the line as well.
Gunderson's going to come out on top of that battle. Stevens eventually got across the line, didn't lose a position for it, but boy, that's embarrassing if you ran out right on the run to the line. Other than that, we really have no other close battles. It was Harmon and Richards fighting for 12th, but that'll settle about half a second apart from each other, which means it's time to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Our broadcast is not over. We've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews and on screen. You're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Imola. We just watched round 5 here in the American iRacing Thursday series on the iRacing Esports Network, and it took us 5 rounds to get a repeat winner. It's Michael Overbay, our points leader, extending his gap over the rest of everyone, including the driver who won last race, Jefferson Padavani, who now finishes second. Whether if it's going to be between these two to take it down to the end of the points race. Mark File gets himself a podium with Alberto Blasco finishing in 4th. Eric Luke goes to P5 in the end, and Kip Stevens, who even though he didn't get a top 5, he's got to feel pretty good, starting 13th, finishing 6th. Looks like he may have just short-fueled just barely. Matthew Gunderson finishes in 7th, Owen McLaughlin in 8th, both of them finishing exactly where they started. Paul Wildridge from 12th to 9th, not quite as good as his win, going from 9th to the win, but still a good climb for the 67. And the top 10 rounded out by Christian Gritzko.
Eric Harriman will finish in 11th position, followed by Christopher Richards in the 12th position. Tyler Gore will finish in 13th, followed by Bradley Holly in 14th. Andrew Spicer will finish in the 15th position, followed by Daniel Barnett in 16th. 17th goes to the number 17 of Gary Schillings, and David Hebert will finish in 18th. Phil Guillaumin will finish in the 19th position, and Esteverson Oliveira will round out your top 20.
21st goes to Kenny Duval, and I believe, no, not the last driver to finish. Looks like Charles Huffstetler, 22nd, did get back out there. He'll finish in that P22, with 23rd going to Ronald McManus and 24th to Richie Pittenger. John LaBaff, another DNF, 25th for him. Curlin Andrew and Luis Morgan looks like they were a did not start today. Didn't get to the grid. We have our winner ready to talk to us, Michael Overbay, finally showing himself to be the man to watch this season and the first person to take 2 wins this season. Michael, it took us a while, but it looks like you've got yourself a bit of an edge on the field now.
Yeah, this Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Medical was awesome tonight. We had a lot of speed. Jefferson and I kind of just took off, and just once we got a 5-second lead, we just put it on cruise, and then I think he made a mistake.
Yeah, it looks like he unfortunately cost himself a chance at the win there about halfway through the race. Before that, though, was he applying pressure, or was this team tactics? Was he just supposed to cruise behind you?
No, it was team tactics. I mean, he was being nice. He could have, drafted by me, I think, on any straight, but we were just taking it easy and just see if we could clear ourselves of the pack first, and then race at the after the pit stop.
Well, that takes away some of the drama. We thought that he was really challenging you there for a little bit. I see that you hail from Ohio, being a Buckeye myself. What part of Ohio do you come from?
I am just north of Dayton, a little town called West Milton, Ohio.
Oh, wonderful. I'm from Cincinnati myself. So
that's awesome. That's where my son lives and went to school at. So, yeah, get down there all the time.
Great to hear. Well, the Radical has been a difficult car this season for a lot of drivers. Do you think you can hold off everybody else for the remainder of the season? It seems to be very easy to make mistakes.
Boy, it is easy to make mistakes. I hope we can keep it going like this. I mean, I've been just doing safe sets just to try to keep it so we don't spin. And so far, that's been working. I mean, everybody else just having trouble all the time. So as long as we keep it safe, I think we'll be just fine the rest of the season.
All right. Well, we look forward to the battle between you and everybody else down to the wire. Congratulations on win number 2.
Thanks a lot. And just want to say thanks to you guys. Thanks to HFD1 Motorsports for sponsoring us.
Absolutely. That was our winner, Michael Overbay. Taylor has caught up with Padavani, who now we find out wasn't exactly trying to overtake his teammate.
Yes, indeed. We're here with Jefferson Padavani. And Jefferson, you put on a great show early on and then just had a little bit of an issue, but still made a great recovery to catch back up to Overbay. Tell us about your race today.
Yeah, good evening, guys. As you realize, I have a little incident there. It was not a mistake. It happens that when you start at uphill, you have a bump, and I was unlucky to change the gear in the exactly same time that I passed through the bump. So I lost the rear. I was very happy in that because I didn't knock everything, so I didn't have any fixing things on the car. The car didn't broke. It was a little bit frustrating, but in the end, I'm really proud because I never thought that I could be on that position again. I thought that I never could catch Mark and Alberto again. And wow, when I saw that I was taking some time, I keep the pressure, but uh, Mike was very fast today. He likes his track. Congratulations for him. He was the fastest of this race. Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it was great to watch you two battle, but when you did have that spin, was your first instinct to just go ahead and make that early pit stop compared to everyone else?
Yeah, I decided to do that because keeping all the time behind Michael's car. This is a new thing on the iRacing. I realized that the temperature of the car, the engine temperature was very high. We usually use this car on 117, 116 of temperature. My car was 125. So I decided to pit to cool the tires and cool the car too, and get a little bit of clean air. Uh, yes, and to cool down the head too.
All right. Well, next round we're going to is a home track race for you, Interlagos. Tell us how you feel
Oh.
confident enough to take the win for there.
Well, even being a Brazilian, Interlagos is not it's not one of my favorite tracks. But yes, I know the track. I know personally. I already have I have driving on it. It's a motorcycle, but I did, and I usually do well on that track. So I'm excited. I think that there will be a very nice fight on the track too.
We look forward to watching you there next round. And again, congratulations on your podium finish here at Imola.
Thank you, guys. Good night. Thank you.
And that was Jefferson Padavani. And Joe caught up with our final driver on the bottom step of the podium, Mark File.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Mark, congratulations on a podium. Looks like you had to withstand a little bit of pressure. You had the likes of Luke and Gunderson behind you for quite a ways there.
Oh yeah, guys, I was completely bumfuzzled keeping that Fraley's auto body machine from being a stain on the wall tonight. Let me tell you, a lot of pressure.
But other than that, it seems like you handled it very well. We've seen a number of drivers have trouble getting off the line. You were not one of them today. Have you figured out any particular secret to keep the car from spinning the wheels?
Yeah, I just got a good start. I was lucky to get that. It just felt good, and I knew it was going to be all right once I let go of the button.
That's fantastic stuff. Imola seems to be one where it can be hard to pass at times. So did you feel pretty confident about keeping those two behind you when they were close behind? Because we even saw other drivers who had a fair bit of speed over each other, couldn't quite seem to find an opportunity until the other driver made a mistake.
Yeah, I was able to keep a good distance throughout the main portion of the track until we got to the straightaways where they could close up on me, but I could keep regaining that through all the twists and the turns. So it worked out for me like that the whole race. I was never under too much pressure with a draft pass, so it worked out okay.
Well, it looks like this is your first podium of the season. Do you anticipate any more for the remainder?
Oh man, I sure hope so. And I just want to thank a couple people. I think PRL. I thank you guys. You guys do a great job. All the guys at the Alice Club for helping me set this car up. My guys over at SRM, and of course our sponsor HFD1. Thanks for doing it.
Well, thanks for coming in and talking to us. And once again, congratulations on third, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
That was Mark File, the Pennsylvania driver, going from 4th to 5th out there at Imola. But we've got to close up here today, and we've got to thank a few people before we go. Of course, we always want to thank the likes of HFD1 Motorsports, the team that has sponsored this entire season of the American iRacing Thursday series. So hats off goes to them. Also, a big thank you goes out to Inspect a Ride once again. If you want to check out this wonderful app that can help you inspect various cars, in fact, lots of cars, you can check them out at inspectoride.com/iRacing. That is inspectoride.com/iRacing. Give them a look. That's a free trial they're waiting for you there. Also, a big thank you goes to iRacing for bringing us back onto the iRacing Esports Network. Please subscribe if you get a chance. You should get a chance here at the end of this broadcast. Wait till we're done thanking some people and then click that big red button. Also, thanks to the Precision Racing League for bringing us back for coverage, not just here for the Thursday series, but the Tuesday series. And a thank you goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Ram. As was mentioned, we are going to Brazil for the next race, down to Interlagos. That will be Thursday, February 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.